America was built on racism, fueled by fear and sustained by white supremacy. You've exposed it all. The masks are off. The polite racism, the fake allyship, the colorblind lies, it's all gone. Now we see it raw and unfiltered.
Thomas Rousseau. He gave a speech in front of the World War I Museum where he talked about how the United States is a white nation made for white people and they need to reclaim America. And these people are serious, especially under this administration.
I am convinced that if you could tell the racists that only white people would get food stamps and universal health care and universal basic income, they would all vote for it. The only reason they don't want to vote for it is because they're afraid that black people and people of color might get it.
Savannah, why do you make everything about race? Like, why are you always talking about race? Like, not everything is about race. Everything is about race! It is! Everything is! Every single part of our society traces back to racism.
Southern elites needed a way to get free labor, and they invented a system called convict leasing. It was a system where the state would arrest somebody, usually a black man. Instead of housing them at the penitentiary, they'd send them to these prison farms. People did not last very long. Many of them died within days, weeks, or months of actually arriving there. So fast forward into the mid-2000s, and they were breaking ground for this new school building in Sugarland, and lo and behold, one of the guys saw a bone sticking up out of the ground. They found a mass grave with 95 sets of remains, and it turned out that these people had been imprisoned at the Imperial Farm.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing fine wherever you're watching from. Today's video, I'll be reacting to some of the TikToks that I believe are really deep, and I believe that you are going to feel them. Have you ever noticed that every time black people start making little progress, be it in life, be it economically, religiously, socially, something happens to try and stop it? It's not by accident. When black farmers were making moves in the agricultural sector, the government came up with bills that disadvantaged them. Now, all this is not by accident. If you look back in history, it has always happened over and over. Now, I am just bringing it to your attention that it's not something that happened by accident. It's all planned. It's something that was orchestrated to happen the way it happened, or the way it keeps on happening. And all this is a result of fear. Fear of blacks growing, fear of us being heard, and us standing strong. So today we are watching a video that shows the truth. It talks about how the system will live, and it was meant to be this way. This system is not here to go anywhere because it was something that was orchestrated hundreds of years ago. And even now, that system still tries to keep us quiet and to shut our mouths. And that is why such channels exist. What you are about to see is honest and real. It's not something that I am making up. And it helps explain why some people are so afraid of black voices and black truth. And when I say some people, you know that I am talking about whites who have sold us a narrative that is not quite true. They are the ones who fear us, but they have kind of installed or instilled the fear in us. So let us get to watch the video. I am not going to give my commentary now, or I'm not going to say much at the moment. Let's get to watch the video, and immediately after watching the video, I'll get back with my commentary.
Okay, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Donald Trump, not out of praise, but out of truth. Because while you rip through every part of this government, tearing down justice, equality, and fairness under the fake excuse of fighting DEI fraud, what you're really doing is confirming what black folks have been saying for generations. America was built on racism, fueled by fear and sustained by white supremacy. You've exposed it all. The masks are off. The polite racism, the fake allyship, the colorblind lies, it's all gone. Now we see it raw and unfiltered. You're not just targeting policy, you're targeting people. Black people, brown people, marginalized communities. And the wild part, we make up the smallest portion of this country, yet somehow we are the biggest threat to the lie that white supremacy built. That should tell you everything. You're afraid not of violence, not of replacement, but of the power we hold even when we have nothing. You see the way our culture, our brilliance, our resilience, our excellence continues to shape this country, even when it tries to erase us. Donald Trump is just the loudest version of a system that's always been in place. He is the living, breathing proof that this country was never designed with us in mind. And yet, we continue to define it. So thank you, Donald, for exposing what so many tried to deny, for showing the world that the fear of black greatness is real, for proving that racism isn't in our imagination, it's in the fabric of this nation. And to my people, we don't have to fight to prove our worth. He's doing that for us. All we have to do is stand firm, stay awake, and know that the truth is finally louder than the lie. We are not broken. We are not the problem. We are the evidence of the power that this country can contain. Let that truth ring louder than its hate.
Is anyone else convinced that the only reason we can't have good social safety programs in the United States, like a good social healthcare system and a good safety net system, is because of the bunch of white people who are racist? And here's what I mean. I am convinced that if you could tell the racists that only white people would get food stamps and universal healthcare and universal basic income, they would all vote for it. The only reason they don't want to vote for it is because they're afraid that black people and people of color might get it. And I can prove it. Look at back in the day, there used to be public pools in almost every town in the South. No matter how big or small the town was, they used to have a public pool. And then after the Civil Rights Act, they had to start letting people of color into their public pools. And white people decided they would rather fill the pools with concrete and let nobody swim than have to swim with black people. And I'm convinced the same thing happens with our social safety net. These people would rather suffer themselves than help black people too. I am so convinced this is why this country is so fucked.
Yeah, man, everything's racist. Think about it. Your streets are named after prominent racists in your city, state, or throughout history. Washington, Jackson, Jefferson, Lee, all slaveholders, all racists. Your schools, elementary, middle, and high school, are named after prominent members of your community who are probably racists. Take mine, for example. My middle school was named after Forrest Comer White, a white supremacist who tried to commit murder-suicide by airplane, and our school mascot was a Confederate rebel. Even your institutions of higher learning have their roots in racism. Harvard, Yale, and Brigham Young University is named after racist Brigham Young, who tried to eradicate Native Americans by poisoning them. Traffic, racism. Instead of building highways in the most efficient ways, they ran them specifically through black and brown neighborhoods, and now we have traffic because of that. Seasonal allergies, racism. It's the beautification of the white parts of town with only male trees that continuously pop off pollen with no female trees to absorb them. That's why you have seasonal allergies. Racism. Tipping, racism. White store owners didn't want to pay black employees anything, so they said, if your service is good, leave it up to the customer to pay you, and that's how we got tipping. Student loans, racism. College used to be free, that is, until black people started going to college, and then now you have to pay, and if you can't pay, you take out a student loan. The prohibition on cannabis, racism. You see, it used to be legal. That is until white people wanted to demonize Mexicans, so they renamed cannabis marijuana, spelled with an H, to sound like Tijuana, so they could justify the mistreatment of Mexican people. That Ford truck you drive? Racism. Henry Ford was so racist that Hitler had a picture of him at his desk. He was inspired by the efficiency of his assembly line and used that efficiency to efficiently kill more people. He also got the inspiration for his gas chambers from America's gassing and delousing of Mexican migrants at the border. Argentina is 96% white because of racism. Mexico is known as a mestizo country because of racism. And brown people all around the world are bleaching their skin because of racism's twin sister, colorism. Cancer rates in the South? Racism. You see, they like to build petrochemical plants near black and brown neighborhoods, thus giving us higher rates of cancer than those around us. Matter of fact, right here in Louisiana, Mossville, Louisiana, used to be a thriving black town founded by black people, but it was later bought out by a petrochemical plant and bulldozed. Racism. It affects every part of our daily lives, and until we acknowledge that, we can't change it, because we can't change what we refuse to acknowledge. And that's why racism continues to thrive in this country, because we've raised generations of people to be willfully ignorant of it.
Savannah, why do you make everything about race? Like, why are you always talking about race? Like, not everything is about race. Everything is about race! It is! Everything is! Every single part of our society traces back to racism. Everything. The damn ice cream truck song is racist. The reason we have credit scores and student loans is because they did not want black people to live next to them and go to school. Everything is encapsulated in the fact that they wanted black people to fail. Our society could be so much more progressive than it is now. Spent 400 years trying to keep minorities down, that we have not progressed in technology, in society, in anything. This country has spent so much time making sure that we don't surpass white people, that it's willing to cut its leg off during the sack race over and over and over and over again. And that's why we're in the fucking predicament that we're in now. It's not about anything else but the fact that they do not want minorities to thrive. That is what it's been about since day one, when they got to this fucking land. They took it away from people who were already here and didn't stop doing it. I understand that sometimes we want to ha-ha, hee-hee and live life and forget, but I'm always going to bring it up. If you don't want to hear it, don't talk to me, but I'm always going to talk about racism because it makes me angry. You don't get to spend 400 plus years mistreating people based off of their skin tone alone. It caused ripples in generations. You haven't even began to try to undo it, but you want to get mad at me because every time I talk about racism, you get annoyed. Because every time I bring up something, oh, it's because this, it's because of racism, you get mad. Shut the f up.
Did you see this video out of Kansas City, Missouri, where white nationalists, Patriot Front, are marching down the street and they are confronted by local residents? Listen to this.
You're not going to invade our women's privacy. Privacy? You're in public, bro. Why do you need to be private I thought you'd be proud of your opinion. Why is that private? Hey, have a good one, guys. Thanks for getting the fuck out of here. Please don't return. You want my name? Yeah, what's your name, bud? Thomas Ryan Rousseau. Thanks, Thomas. I bet you're trying to get famous with Trump for this. What? You gonna run for office now? What? You gonna run for office now? Are you from here? All right, cool. Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? I got people from the whole country here. That's how many it takes to get a couple hundred? The whole country. I don't see anything. That's embarrassing. Hey, have fun in that hot box, guys.
First of all, thank you to the people of Kansas City who stood up to this. Because the police didn't do anything. They saw this and made no stops and no arrests. Now, this was all led by the guy you saw in the video, Thomas Rousseau. He gave a speech in front of the World War I Museum where he talked about how the United States is a white nation made for white people and they need to reclaim America. And these people are serious, especially under this administration. Those people have a training center in Tennessee. They train people on how to use weapons and hand-to-hand combat. That's how he was able to get 100 people from across the country. These are all people who wholeheartedly believe in the white supremacist ideology, and they're getting ready to take it further, especially under this administration.
My God, today. It's Sunday, you glorious motherfuckers. And remember, I don't celebrate holidays, so no happy Easters. We got that out the way. It's a boundary, and I owe you no explanation. But let's get into it, shall we? I was scrolling the TikTok streets, and I came across a video, and I'm going to share it with you. Right, great. Every time I say, or we say, black folk, not folk who just happen to be black, not the tokens that Nick Fuentes described. No. Every time black folk tell y'all in live spaces that everything in the United States of America is rooted in racism because the foundation of the United States of America is racism. You digging what I'm putting down? Great. Pause. We know what this is, right? Imperial sugar. Been around since 1843. Okay, hold on. Here's the history of imperial sugar. Now, I want you to pay specific attention to where it says, while the company's original plant in Sugar Land, Texas is no longer in operation, it continues to operate in other states. Imperial Sugar Company's corporate headquarters are still located in Sugar Land, Texas. This is going to be important. Pause. I need y'all to buckle up, Buttercup. I'm going to share a video with you that I just learned. And I am a native goddamn Texan, and I did not know this. So this is education for me as well as y'all. Pause, my babies.
There's a town in Texas called Sugar Land. There was some land that was owned by the Fort Bend, Texas School District. Before it was owned by the school district, it was the Texas Central State Prison. But before it was that, it was called Imperial Farm, work farm for convict laborers. But before it was that, it was a sugar plantation. All of the labor was provided by slave labor. Sugarcane harvesting and milling is backbreaking and dangerous work. But after the Civil War, the slaves were freed. The Southern elites needed a way to get free labor, and they invented a system called convict leasing. It was a system where the state would arrest somebody, usually a black man. Instead of housing them at the penitentiary, they'd send them to these prison farms. People did not last very long. Many of them died within days, weeks, or months of actually arriving there. So fast forward into the mid-2000s, and they were breaking ground for this new school building in Sugar Land, and lo and behold, one of the guys saw a bone sticking up out of the ground. They found a mass grave with 95 sets of remains, and it turned out that these people had been imprisoned at the Imperial Farm. They called it the Imperial Farm because it was owned by the Imperial Sugar Company, which is still in existence and is now a billion-dollar public company.
Now they got me to thinking, what school was built on that ground that was broken in 2000 that used to be a burial site for enslaved black folk? Pause yet again, Bookie. It's the goddamn University of Houston at Sugar Land. It was built on the very ground where our people lost their fucking lives harvesting goddamn sugar cane to make imperial sugar. And just to give you an idea, this is the racial demographic of the population in Sugar Land. Great. So when I say, and other black folks say, everything in the United States of America is based on race and racism because the foundation of the United States of America is racism, we know what the fuck we talking about.
Hello and welcome back to the video once again. I am glad you watched the entire video until this point. So what you just saw, sadly, it's not new, and for many of us it's not even surprising because we've seen these over and over again, because the truth is America has always shown us exactly how things work, just that we have not been seeing it. From the very start, this country was built to give white people the upper hand, not just in words or laws, but its everyday life. Being white meant safety, it meant land, it meant good school, health care, chances, and so much more. And what did being black mean? And every time black folks asked for even a little place of that, just a little bit of freedom, the system pushed back. It's not black freedom that scares them, it's what the freedom means. It means change. Freedom means sharing power to them, and that's something that the system was never built to do. The system was built to be all powerful, and sharing power with them is something that kind of scares them. Even after slavery was made illegal, they still found a way and made up a way to keep blacks in chains. The 13th Amendment had a loophole. It allowed slavery if someone was seen as a criminal. It allowed slavery if someone was seen as a criminal. So they made us criminals on paper for things that weren't even crimes. Most of the time, blacks, there is this stereotype that blacks are bad people or blacks engage in crimes or criminal activities, and when you are found guilty, you can be made a slave because you are a criminal. And most of the things that blacks have been accused of, they are not true. You may or you've probably seen unfair judgment when it comes to blacks. When a white person is in trial, he or she is innocent until proven guilty, but when a black person is on trial, he or she is guilty until proven innocent. And it made whites a lot of money just by enslaving blacks. Thousands died in that system. Thousands died in that system. No names, no justice, just used up and thrown away. And that system, it didn't disappear. It just changed clothes. Today we see it in mass incarceration, schools that set up kids for prisons, neighborhoods with more police than doctors, neighborhoods with more police stations than parks or hospitals or any other public amenities, and classrooms with more punishment than support. That's why I can't stay quiet. When we speak the truth, we hold up a mirror to the country, and it's not about blame game or pointing fingers or spreading racism. It's about putting the truth out there, because if we put out the truth, it will help us gain more knowledge and educate a fellow black person. It helps us make sense of everything that's going on at the moment. So we are still here, still rising, still turning pain into strength. And with that, if this message touched you, or if at all you resonated with the message, then please leave a comment. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's have the conversation going. Let's talk. I believe this is a topic that we need to talk about. It should not end here. So please tell me what you think in the comment section. Leave a like if at all you resonated with the content, and consider subscribing to this channel. I drop such kind of videos on a daily basis. Otherwise, see you in the next video.